This episode of Keys to the Shop is brought to you by Prima Coffee. Whether it's espresso machines, manual brewing devices, or general coffee shop needs, they seek to pursue the most innovative coffee products, both domestic and abroad, to offer their customers. Find out more at prima-coffee.com. This is Keys to the Shop, episode 58, Holiday Hospitality. Well, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Keys to the Shop. My name is Chris DiFiorio. I'm your host, and this show, of course, is dedicated to giving you insights, inspiration, and the tools that you're going to need to grow as a coffee service professional, helping you in your career, serving coffee, working in coffee, and coffee retail. And this season, for all of us in retail, we all know this is the holiday season. You know, we have Thanksgiving coming up this week, and I really want to talk about hospitality and just some tips on how we can do hospitality to the best of our ability, how we can welcome folks into our cafes, plan for some of the things that are going to come up, especially as a result of the holidays, and much more. So before we get into that, though, I want to thank our sponsor at Keys to the Shop, and that's Prima Coffee. You know, Prima Coffee is a specialty coffee equipment supplier, and they're based out of Louisville, Kentucky. And from the beginning of their company, they've set out to make the best coffee brewing equipment available to the general public. Now, their focus is on curating the best equipment for every need, from grinders to espresso machines to under-counter fridges. Pretty much everything you can need or think of in a coffee setting, they have. And they do a lot of thoughtful work in making sure that what they offer through their company is the best that they can find, and it's something that they can stand behind as a company. They put a big emphasis on having the expertise to help their customers get the right gear to fit every situation. And again, I highly recommend you go check out prima-coffee.com. They're fantastic folks over there. Use them in the shops here, and I've had nothing but great experiences with them, and I know you will too. So my thanks to Prima Coffee for your support of Keys to the Shop and us as a community by providing the tools that we need to do our jobs well. So let's talk about holiday hospitality. I wanted to cover this because I personally feel that this time of year is a great opportunity for us who work in the service industry to really shine. And there are plenty of opportunities for us to make great impressions, not only on our customers, but, the people that our customers bring in, family and friends, as well as our staff's family and friends. And also, there's a lot of opportunity for us as teams and as companies to grow, because it's one of the busiest seasons of the year for us. Now, for some of us, we could have busier seasons depending on where you are and what community you serve. But by and large, the holiday times that are happening right around this time of year can tend to be the most busy. And along with that comes a lot of stress. And that's not just stress that we feel when we have to serve a lot more people. It's stress that your customers feel as well, and they bring into the cafe with them. So being servers and being hospitality professionals, we have to be able to set the tone in our cafe and not let the kind of frantic, stressed out, forgetful, confused, feelings that come in during the holidays be the thing that dictates the experience that people have. On the flip side, our cafes can be a respite for people in the midst of the really crazy pace that our society tends to put on people to partake in. We tend to glorify busyness in maybe unhealthy ways. And as a coffee bar, being a third place, this can be an oasis for people to shed the cares that they had as much as they can and feel a little bit more human and then go back out there and conquer the day or conquer the holiday, as it were. So here I wanted to focus on 5 areas for us to be focusing on over the course of these next weeks and months, where we are celebrating with friends and family and welcoming them all into our spaces so that we can be that oasis for people. The first thing that we want to focus on is you want to focus on preparing yourself. When you are on an airplane, and many of you know where I'm going with this analogy already, when the flight attendant gives the pre-flight safety check, what they do is they tell you, if you're an adult, you put your mask on first and then help the child next to you. In general, that rule is applied to self-care, or in this case, self-preparation, where if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't take care of somebody else as well as you could if you were taking care of yourself. So the first thing that we need to do is look at, how do you make sure that you are doing your best, that you're at 100 every day you're on bar. So here are some really simple ways that you can take care of yourself and prepare yourself for giving great hospitality during the holidays, even though it's really busy. First of all, you need to be able to get some rest. Maybe you're not so great at finding ways to do that, but it's okay to be a little selfish here. And maybe you don't need to stay out that late. Maybe you need to go to bed a little bit earlier and make sure that you're preparing yourself for sleep. Cut back on coffee or something. I don't know. But sleep is extraordinarily important for your brain's function. And if you're not getting sleep, then you're not going to be able to handle the kind of mental pressures that come up on the bar. The same goes for getting the blood flowing, some exercise, eating foods that are healthy. You stock some Airborne or something in your backpack, take vitamins. Think about the things that are hard to do on a regular basis a lot of times, to remember to take supplements or vitamins and remember to exercise or sleep or eat well. Literally, these things would keep us from getting sick 90% of the times that we all get sick. So besides taking care of the physical part of the equation, you need to take care of your mind as well. And one of the things that you can do here is prepare yourself mentally for what's about to happen. Now, only you know the little tics and idiosyncrasies of your own mind. What were you like in your worst moments last holiday season? Have you conveniently pushed them to the back of your mind? Or are you going to learn from them this year? Now is the time to start thinking about that and go, okay, how am I going to act differently this year? What are some positive things that I can use and do to substitute for the negative things that I did before? Because one of the things that I know to be true is you can remove a bad habit, but it only is going to last so long unless you replace it with a good habit. So in this way, you give yourself some time, carve out some time. Maybe it's the time where you're starting to wind down and rest. You're getting ready to go to bed before an opening shift the next day. Think about what you want that shift to be like. We've talked about this before when we've talked about just essential advice for the new barista in that episode. One of the things is going into your shift with intentionality, right? And this is a really great time to be intentional when things can get really stressful. So take care of your body, take care of your mind, prepare yourself to offer hospitality. And if you're healthy and in a good frame of mind, then you're starting from a great place. So the second area for us to prepare and focus on is preparing our staff. Now, if you're a manager or a supervisor, then you are in charge of mainly communication. You're in charge of communicating standards and upholding standards across a certain number of individuals. So this means that you need to prepare your staff with good communication about what to expect, what's going to happen based on your knowledge of the holidays at that store, even if it's limited. You can have a store meeting. I know, all of the stores here at Sunnergasse are going to have a store meeting. It's going to be a fun meeting, talking, we're going to be decorating the stores and things like that. But the purpose of the store meetings is going to be to talk about the bump in business that's going to be experienced in December. And we want to communicate about, things to be aware of, details about items that are new, reiterations of standards that have already been put in place. Communicate. You have to have a meeting. Great. Have a meeting or talk to everybody individually. But if you're in charge of people, then one of your main jobs, if not the main job, is excellent communication of expectation, and communication of what they should expect. Now, in the midst of this, part of your job as a leader and a manager, which, I view the manager as one of the most important leaders in all of specialty coffee. But your job is to care for your staff as well. Pay attention to their needs. And I'm not just talking about paying attention to their needs in a way that is important to you because if they're doing well, then the cafe is doing well. I'm talking about their needs as people. So if somebody is working on the espresso machine and you can see that they're getting fried, then you need to be able to switch them to another station to give them some pause, to give them a break from that. Many of you are nodding your head, hopefully, that you've done this before when it's been really crazy. And holidays are a time where, as a manager, you're going to really have to pay attention more because more is happening on the floor. So tune in to the needs of the staff as the days go on, as business picks up. And part of this is going to be paying attention right now. Do you know the tendencies of the staff? Are you putting somebody who is really got a hair trigger in terms of maybe they have a tendency to get hot under the collar during customer interactions? There's a lot we can unpack there, okay? But you're probably not going to want to put them on the register. But many a manager and supervisor will put somebody in a position because it's convenient, not because it's best. Resist that temptation. Do it for them, because I guarantee they don't feel great about the job they're doing, that they're not doing well, and you're not going to feel great knowing that the customers are not getting the best from your cafe because you're scheduling based on convenience and not based on strengths. So take care of people by knowing their strengths and weaknesses, and try to put them in places during this season that really cater to their strengths. And as much as possible, don't have them doing things that are primarily based on things that they're weak on. Now, I want to say, as a manager, one of the things that's really going to get in your way of being able to care for your staff during this time is going to be your availability to actually see what's happening. This requires delegation. And this is something that I'm learning a lot about even today, is the idea of delegation, because I have a tendency to try to do things myself and I get my hands in it. I feel like I've got control. But when I do that, what I don't have is perspective, the big picture. How are you going to see that Sarah is really losing her mind at the milk station right now? How are you going to see that if you're in the back doing something that the bar back should be doing? Because you have a particular way that you want it to be done and you didn't know how to delegate it to that person. Get yourself in a position to be able to see what's going on in the cafe, and then you'll be able to see what's going on with your staff and more effectively care for them in this time. Because right now, you're going to experience abnormal patterns, new people in the cafe. There's going to be more explanations of things that this whole year you haven't really had to explain that much to your regular customer base. You're going to have to explain these things to new people in your cafe. And this is going to take a toll on your team. So put yourself in a position to see the needs of your team and put your team in a position to win based on their strengths. So prepare yourself, prepare your staff. Now, number 3, prepare the cafe. This is a big one. So first of all, people will judge you by the way they feel interacting with you, the way they feel in the cafe, and the way the drinks and the products taste. Your cafe needs to be on point, and oftentimes more so than the drinks, because the space, the physical space, is what people are going to gravitate towards. So they're going to find comfort in that space first. When I enter a place, I want to feel welcomed. I want to feel that I have a sense of place. And if they can't settle in that place, then it's going to be hard for them to enjoy their drink. So a well cared for facility is going to really show that you care for people's experience in your cafe. And it's central in showing hospitality, especially during the holidays when people are more tuned into the details of hospitality themselves because they're having people over to their houses, or they themselves are going to other people's houses. And magazine articles are all talking about different ways that you can be a great host during the holidays. This is a public consciousness shift. And if we don't shift along with it during this time, then we're going to miss out. And we need to take care of our cafe. So one of the ways you can do that, obviously, is by keeping it clean. If you need to check your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, as we talked about in episode 57, check them and make sure that they are sufficient for an increase of business. So if you need to clean the bathrooms more frequently during the day, if you need to clear tables more often, if you need to take the bus tub away more often, this is part of making a clean bar. Make sure those bathrooms are well stocked and cleaned. Make sure the cafe is sparkling and the condiment bar is stocked as well and clean. So that brings us to another idea, which is stocking. So stocking is going to be really important here because running out of stuff sucks. Running out of things is never great, but when you're really busy, it's the worst. So adjust the par levels you have for your ordering based on the increased usage of these things that you're probably going to experience in your cafe. I mean, you're probably going to go through more cream. If, think about this logically, okay? If somebody's coming into your cafe that's never been there before, especially if they're not used to going to higher end coffee shops, they might consider your coffee too strong. And if that's the case, they're going to ask for more cream, and you're going to have more safe milk drinks. So you're going to go through more milk, you're going to go through more cream, stock up on the boxes of coffee, the Joe to go type box coffee that people might want for their office parties or for their homes. Also look at carrying more of the cup carriers, because you might get somebody coming in and buying a lot of coffee just as one person ordering for a group. All this requires is that we think about what could possibly happen and what does happen around the holidays, and what do we need to do to adjust for it before it becomes a problem. So look at your procedures for keeping things clean. Look at what you need to stock in the cafe and communicate all of that to your staff, and make sure that the cafe is kept up for people, because this is where they live. This is where they're going to meet their friends. It's where they're going to meet their family. And you want to make it as easy and comfortable and prepped for them as possible. It will put you in such a good light to do so. So just remember that taking care of the cafe is critical if you're going to show hospitality during the holidays. People want to take a load off. They want to relax. They need to be in a place where they feel it's comfortable to do so. And by keeping it clean and well stocked and orderly, you're going to be doing just that for them. Now, on to number 4, and that is plan for grace and patience. Okay? So that's going to be easier said than done. And one of the main things that you have to be aware of is that people, again, their mind is scattered. There's more tension coming into the cafe during this time, and it's going to be easy for people to be forgetful. And they're going to spend more time making decisions about things, shopping around. There are things that annoy us as service professionals that we have to be able to just swallow hard and show grace and patience. And it requires empathy. When I was talking about taking care of yourself, part of that was thinking about what's going to happen and then preparing yourself for it. Well, this is part of it. Grace and patience is only possible if you are preemptively empathizing with what people will be going through when they come in. When I was a barista, working regular barista shifts, when I would get annoyed, it was when things like customer requests and big drink orders and things took me by surprise. Now, why would I ever be surprised that people had requests or orders? Unless it was because I was in my own world. I was in the midst of, finishing my checklists, or I was in the midst of dialing in a shot of this really amazing coffee. Or I was in my own world, and my existence was not for anybody else except myself. Grace and patience can't exist in that, except for maybe I would want it for myself. I think that's probably true. But when you're showing hospitality, the little things that people do sometimes that aren't necessarily the best, maybe they are genuinely frustrating people, you can't just get angry with them and refuse to give them good service. You got to take the high road. And that's going to require you, as much as possible, giving some forethought to what's going to happen. And don't be surprised by things. Don't be surprised, for instance, that people are going to bring their kids into the cafe. You're going to have families, and they're going to have kids, and the kids are going to be loud. Things are going to be messier than usual because they're carting everybody around to go see this one play or this one, show or this event at, wherever it is that this holiday event is happening. There's travel happening. People are getting everybody packed in the van and going to a relative's house, and they're stopping in for coffee. Now, that's going to happen. So plan to be gracious and patient to people who are having their family into the cafe. So as an aside, when we're talking about groups, you should definitely listen to episode 32, Making Order Out of Chaos. That'll help. It's talking about managing groups. So another way for us to show grace and patience in the midst of the holidays here, in the way that we show hospitality, is by showing grace and patience to our coworkers. So if your coworkers sense how stressed out you are toward them when a mistake happens, and I guarantee you're going to make a mistake, they're going to make a mistake. If you make a mistake and somebody gets real stressed out around you, does it make you feel better? Or does it make you more stressed? So think about it and look at what it does to the team dynamic. Do your part to extend grace and patience to your coworkers, knowing very well that you would want the same to be extended to you, and you can get through this without this downward spiral of stress and emotions and whatever other ugliness can happen behind the bar when everyone's in the weeds. So another way that we can show grace and patience is be prepared to go above and beyond, and in the face of stress, give generously to people. Be of a generous spirit. And that's going to be kind of antithetical to what your emotions would say in the midst of a time where there's a lot of demands being put on you. What you're thinking to yourself is, I want to hold back. I want to do less. I just want to survive the shift. Now, there's nothing wrong with that per se. There's nothing wrong with surviving the shift. Lord knows I want everybody to survive their shifts. But what it holds us back from is growth. It holds us back from making the better impression on the people in the cafe that are there, maybe for the only time, maybe they'll be future customers. But, when you've got a lot of people in the cafe, it's a great time to make big impressions on people. So the more people you have in a cafe, the more opportunity you have to make great impressions. It just makes sense. But if we decrease our level of service and hospitality as the number of people in the cafe increases, then we cancel out the benefit of the increased number of people. We lose the opportunity to really leverage that moment. I think it's true that we are able to do more than we give ourselves credit for. But if we are always selling ourselves short by defaulting to that survival mentality, then we'll never know. I think we can expand our capabilities many times over when we take a step of courage into the direction of being generous in the midst of a time where everything in us is saying, hold back, hold back, hold back. It's a great opportunity for growth, and it'll create a lot of momentum for the rest of the staff too, because the other option is to go backwards. The other option is to withhold and to allow for just a lot of mediocre business rather than a lot of excellent business. So we want to be able to look back at the time and look back on it with pride and see the fruit of that time, not only in the moment, but also in the future of how it grew us as a team and how it grew us as individuals and as a business. So the first thing was prepare yourself, then prepare the staff, prepare the cafe, and then plan for grace and patience to be demonstrated during this showing of hospitality. Now, number 5, the last thing on the list here is to honor your staff and customers when they bring their friends and family in. Now, this is a unique time of the year where either like graduation or holidays, you get to see an inordinate amount of people's friends and family. And when you see people's friends and family, you have an opportunity, especially if you're a manager or a supervisor, to build that relationship like no other time before. Here are people that are coming in who are way closer with these folks than you ever will be in most cases. And it is, first of all, a great honor for any customer to bring their family into your shop or to bring their friends into your shop. Your customers are saying to their friends and family, here's a place that you need to go. That's a huge, huge honor. The same thing goes for when your staff bring their parents in, they bring their siblings or relatives or friends. The messaging here is clear. This is a place we want to be, and not only do we want to be here, we want the people that we love to be around us while we spend time here. Okay? So this is immediately an honor to have these folks in the cafe. And you can leverage this time to really show how much you value your staff and your customers. So when you're introduced to a customer's friends or family, you can easily compliment the customer. You can compliment your staff in front of their parents. That's always a great idea. And I'm not talking about some kind of smarmy, fake way. I'm talking about real compliments. I'm talking about knowing ahead of time what it is you like about your staff, that you can communicate with a genuine and caring demeanor. Don't make something up just to be flattering. People can see through that stuff, but you need to be of the mindset already before the opportunity comes along. So if you're not in that mindset now, I think, especially this Thanksgiving week, maybe it's time for you to sit down, and this is good for all of us, and make a list of what you're thankful for in your staff, what you're thankful for with your customers. Now, as your mind starts to dwell more on the things that you're thankful for and the positives, etc., then when the opportunity comes up to greet and be introduced to the friends and family of your customers and staff, you're going to have no trouble coming up with things to say that will honor your staff and honor your customers in front of their friends and family. So there are the 5 things right there that I think are a good starting place for you to focus on when you're going into the holidays, preparing yourself, preparing your staff, the cafe, showing grace and patience, honoring your customers, guests, and your staff's guests as well, their friends and family. These are just 5 areas that are of particular note in my mind. And I'm sure you have things that you really focus on in the cafe as well that you have shown a lot of fruit. I'd be interested to hear what those are. Now, in the midst of all of this, the main thing that we have to focus on in hospitality is providing a space where people are given significance in how we host and how we greet and how we say farewell and how we recognize them, look them in the eye and smile and welcome them is going to really shape and determine the future of our business and our industry. And we are, of course, the last link in terms of the chain of specialty coffee. And when it comes to making great impressions with the public, this is one of the best times to do so around the holidays, showing great holiday hospitality. So I hope that this episode was helpful for you, and maybe some of the things that we talked about in it will help you show great hospitality to folks. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, ways that I can make the show better for you and more valuable, then please do email me. Chris@keystotheshop.com is how you can get a hold of me. You can also visit our website where you can find the show notes for this episode, and you can find all of the past episodes on the show on the episodes page as well. So in terms of related episodes, you can go through episode 30, 31, and 32, which are matching your service to your quality. Episode 30 with Casey Underkoffler of the Bachelor Farmer Cafe. And then there's episode 31, which is essential advice for new baristas, and episode 32, which is making order out of chaos, dealing with group orders in the cafe, groups in the cafe. So 30, 31, and 32 would be good episodes as a supplement to this one. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Keys to the Shop. And if you have the opportunity to leave a rating or review on iTunes, that would mean the world to me. So thanks everyone for your time and your attention. I hope you all have an amazing Thanksgiving and holiday season, and you're able to show really fantastic holiday hospitality. And I also hope that this episode has given you keys to the shop.